I am a lot more intentional about trying to have her train with me at least once a week, whether that's, like we said, hopping in the stroller and running around the lake, which is about a 5K. Um, or she's getting to the age now where I'm bringing her to do things with me. Like she'll come play golf with me,
Mm.
which ends up being a pretty long walk. Um, but trying to make stuff fun. Guys, let's be honest. There's too many apps, there's too many group chats, and there's too much noise. Teamworks gives your unit one place for news, events, and resources so nothing important gets missed. If you want to learn more, visit teamworkstactical.com today. Alex, we are starting now. Team, welcome back to another week of Mops and Mo's. This is now the third time we have started this episode. Some interesting bits and bobs here. The first time now in 3 years or more that Alex is not with us. This week, you have only John and myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think Alex is out of town and or doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
He's otherwise occupied. The second, I think, first for this episode is, as I mentioned, this is our third time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
The first time we were about 40 minutes in and my audio just wasn't there. The second time, John's wife interrupted
Mm-hmm.
mid intro.
Yep.
But here we are now, the third time, which actually I think, all things considered, pretty appropriate for what we're talking about tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very appropriate. I think we could
Um,
still sound pretty authentic in our answers too.
I think so too,
All
mostly
off the
because I don't
cuff.
remember. I don't remember most of what I said.
No, me neither.
You may have noticed by the title of this episode. Tonight we are going to discuss, or I should say, this week we are going to discuss how we have chosen to pursue the father figure, as opposed to the dad bod.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not to say that this is only for guys. This is I don't have as good of a pun for women. Is there like a mom figure?
No, I don't think we
Like
should
what's a
tread. I think we should tread lightly there.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's like a dad bod equivalent. Anyway,
No, I don't think
so
so.
let's do this for the second time. Let's run through family setups.
Mm-hmm.
Let's run through training pre kids to set the foundation, and then let's dive back into those questions that we already explored.
Perfect.
In terms of how our relationship to fitness has changed because of all of the things.
Good. Why don't you kick us off?
I'll kick us off.
Yeah, tell us about your family setup.
I will. And I think I've probably mentioned this a couple of times before to folks, but so I have a daughter, 5 years old. And what I think is relevant for this conversation, single dad. And I say that because not a lot, but I've had more than one person who I have either coached or who has asked about training who is in a similar situation. So I felt that would be relevant to the conversation, and I will weave it into some of the things that we talk about. But myself, and then a lovely 5-year-old girl who really, for all intents and purposes, thinks that she's 16. What about you?
I have two kids. I have a 3-year-old. We'll call her Princess. We're big into the princess dress phase right now.
The best face.
Minimum 3 to 4 wardrobe changes a day.
Do you go to tea parties?
Yes, we did have a
You
tea party
tea party
phase. We had to put
Nice.
the tea party stuff away because she wanted to do that all day.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. But that's okay. We'll bring it back out soon. And then I have an 8-month son. We'll call him Bubba's because he's a big boy.
Love that.
Mm-hmm. I am married, so a little bit different, I guess, viewpoint than where Drew's coming from. But nonetheless, I think still beneficial for the conversation for the father figure, if you will.
And I don't think we were apologetic enough about this in our first go round. We should caveat all of these. We should really caveat this conversation by saying that both of us do have the luxury of gym access at work.
Mm-hmm.
which I genuinely do like. I'm very grateful for. Um, so I don't want people to get like halfway through this and be like, these guys don't even get it because they have access. So just putting that in there early on to say like, yes, hand up, very thankful for that.
Mhm.
But I would go so far as to say that I think folks who are in a non I don't know, what would you call it? Like a non-fitness lifestyle setting, like you
Mhm.
may find that access to equipment or even training without equipment is much closer than you might realize.
Yeah, sure. Normal 9 to
Uh,
5 job.
yeah, I think that's what I was trying to say.
Mhm.
Okay, let's get into it. I think I went first last time. You go first this time. Pre-kids training.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool.
I know some of it because we did it together.
Exactly, yeah. I think two different pre-kids training. One is BD, before Drew, and the other is AD, after Drew. You kinda did,
I'm not your kid,
no, you're not
just to
my
be
kid,
clear.
that's true, but, you did encourage me in certain ways that have helped shape how I see fitness, after
Mm,
kids. But before Drew, I would just work out a whole bunch, really kinda aimlessly. Bunch of lifting, bunch of calisthenics, some running here and there, but fitness was really my life. It was like my biggest hobby, I loved doing it. Then after Drew, I met you and we started training for specific events. Um,
mhm,
I'll let Drew explain the half power man later on, but that was probably one of the first times I actually trained up for a big event where I had to become more intentional with my fitness. And then after kids, that kind of maintained that intentionality, but it looked a little bit different. Even if I wasn't training for a specific event, I had to fashion my schedule so that I could be a present father and husband, but then also
mhm.
work on my fitness goals. Um, but yeah, what about you?
Um, well, I think given that my whole career has been in exercise science and strength and conditioning, training has always been there. Um, we'll get into some of this later, but like I started training in some capacity when I was like 14, 15. So pre kid, it was kind of just like that's what I did for work. It was also what I did for fun. So I'd be hard pressed to put like an actual number on it in terms of hours per day, so to speak. But the example I give is like on a given set. I remember the CrossFit gym that I worked at in Tucson, Arizona. Like my friend group was from that gym. So on like a Saturday, we'd show up in the morning and we would work out until the afternoon. Like it was just an all day affair. Um, and you mentioned the half power man. So I've I've talked about this on the podcast before, but towards the end of my time in Tucson and then kind of bleeding into my time at Fort Bragg and just like overlapping kind of with our relationship, I had decided to become a hybrid athlete, if you will. I think I didn't have this on the top of my head the first time we had this conversation, but now I do distinctly remember like a YouTube, um, what do you call it? Like a screen cap, whatever the title thing is.
Oh, the thumbnail?
Thumbnail. Yep.
Mhm.
It was Nick Bear running like a sub 5 minute mile at 195 pounds or whatever it was.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I remember watching that video and that was like, oh my God, hybrid, like this is a thing. And so for literally 2 or 3 years, my training was was solely focused on Ironman distance triathlon stuff and like heavy powerlifting stuff. And the concept there was to just combine those two things, heavy lift. I think the first one what was it? Back squat and then no, deadlift? No,
Deadlift. Deadlift was first.
deadlift, swim,
Mhm.
back squat, bike, bench press, run. That's
Mhm.
right.
Yep.
Um, and you and I, we got, like you said, we got all the way up to half Ironman distance. And then we were like, we're not doing this anymore. This is dumb. It took forever. But I say all that because for folks who have been around like an endurance space, specifically triathlon space, but then also folks who are into like competitive powerlifting type stuff, it's a lot of time, and that shapes your identity. And so, like, leading into having a kid, and then I think dealing with not dealing with, but like adapting to that kid becoming like a fully formed human and taking up more of your time. Um, Sacrifices had to start being made in terms of how much volume or how much time could be spent training,
Mhm,
as it were.
mhm.
And I know we'll dive into some more of that stuff, but how for you, how did like what was the biggest change pre-kid, post-kid, or kids plural?
I think probably the biggest thing overall was fitness is still super important to me. Prior to kids, I could go work out for a couple hours
Hmm.
at at like 4 p.m. or on the weekends. I had ample amount of time to train. Now that's not the case. And my wife is super gracious when I have like specific events.
You're saying that because she's in the room with you.
She is in the room with me and she does hear this, but I still mean it. I'd still mean it if she didn't hear a word I said.
I love you.
Uh, but yeah, so really it looks like the scheduling with my hobbies. Prior to kids, I liked video games a lot. I puzzled. Uh, you know,
What video games were you playing?
MLB The Show. That was really it. And
Interesting.
I grinded MLB The Show for hours.
Like
Hours.
online with other people?
Mhm. And individually. Yep. Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't know
Super fun.
MLB The Show was like a big online. Interesting.
It is. There's a small, niche of the world who doesn't really play Call of Duty and all those games, just baseball. Um, and I am very excited for when my kids are old enough to get back on the grind with me, so that'll be a lot of fun. But I think yeah, I think the hobbies changed. So now, like the main hobby I have is fitness. If I want to train for a specific event or I just want to train in general, like that's the thing I'll go out and do,
Hmm.
um, so that I can still be present and uh, and available to spend time with my kids and my wife. What about you? How'd your relationship with fitness change?
um, I want to do. I'm going to do the same thing I did last time because I think it's important. The direction I'll take this is that for me, and I think anybody that has kids, this will resonate with you because this happens across a lot of different pursuits, not just fitness. But when you have a child, and I think specifically, and you and I get this, but specifically, you have a girl, fitness becomes less of like um, an internal barometer of like your identity and more of like a tool that you can start to use to set an example for a lot of things, right? Because fitness exposes you to challenges, it exposes you to, I mean, there's a whole wide world like nutrition, time management, community in some cases. So, whereas before, fitness was all about like, oh, I want to be like the baddest dude in the gym or lift the most weight or run the fastest or, in the CrossFit world, it's like I'm going to win the competitions and be the guy. But I think watching this, newborn slowly develop into a young lady, it's like not only is fitness important for all of the reasons I just mentioned, but for me specifically, growing up in the exercise science world and learning about the female athlete triad and we talked about this before, but like the way that the fitness industry tells women they should look or how they should train or what they can and can't do. We've talked a lot on this podcast about, leg tucks, right? And women being fully capable of performing these things, but for some reason or another being told that they can't. So I think I recognized that I was going to have to lean into this idea of using fitness to help empower my daughter to believe in herself, take on challenges, live a healthy life. And there's a myriad different like avenues you could go down with that in terms of the impact that had on me. But I realize that's a very we're on the precipice of a very deep rabbit hole, so I'll just leave it there.
Mhm. Well, you actually a couple weeks ago, uh, sent me what's the article?
Yep.
Mass Hysteria by
I'm glad you brought this up because I do
uh-huh,
want Alex to put it in the show notes.
mhm. Yeah, Alex, please put this in the show notes. Thank you. Mass Hysteria by Michael
Mass hysteria.
Blevins on All in
Michael
Performance.
Blevins.
Great,
Hmm.
great article.
Share
Basically
that
t
with all my girl dad friends.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
super important read. Uh, and really it wasn't on my mind, but now my daughter is 3, and she's
Hmm.
starting to kinda understand more of what fitness is and that I like to go out and run. Really for her though, it's, "Did you go on a run? Are you sweaty? I don't wanna hug if you're sweaty. Change your shirt." But we're trying to foster a good, fun fitness environment, but I think that article really
Yes.
does kinda key in on some important things. But going on with that, when did you start adapting that mindset, with your daughter?
Yeah. It's hard because it's one of those things that I think becomes such a big part of your life that you can't really place like when the transition happened. But if I had to guess, or I shouldn't say guess because I know for a fact, but um, we'll call it transitioning into single dad life. And recognizing literally immediately that like you are the sole like the world you are solely responsible for the world you create. There's no longer like another person. I mean there is in some sense, but in the time that you have your child, which thankfully for me is a lot, you set the tone. Like you set the example. So it's one thing to say that you're fit. It's one thing to like talk to your child about, yeah, hey, exercise and whatever. And granted, for a 3-year old or a 5-year old, like that's not a huge, but you do kind of set the foundation. Um, but it's another thing entirely to actually live that out. And so I think a huge change that I had to make willingly, to be fair, but a huge change was recognizing that although training at work is an option and I could just do that all the time, if I do that, she's never going to see it happen.
Mhm,
So I have to be very intentional about maybe like, I don't want to say sacrificing because it's not really a sacrifice, but not having like a super tough, like ass kicking traditional training session and instead being very intentional about doing it at home in the garage gym. The weights are going to be lower. The intervals might get thrown off. In some cases, I'll use her as a weight because she thinks it's funny.
mhm,
She has a good time with it. Um, And it really is like one of those things. And I hope that like when other folks go through this, like it clicks for them in the same way. But it's like, man, you talk about adaptation and stimulus and all it's like this is why we do it in the first place. Because like I said, like she does not give a shit how much I can bench press or squat or whatever. And another thing you realize when you become a parent is that in fact no one gives a shit how much you squat or bench press. But what she does care about is the example that I set. And I think what's unique and interesting about girl dads specifically is that you are setting the example for the type of person that she hopefully is drawn to as she gets older. And so if fitness, health, wellness, all these things are just a part of your relationship and a part of your life, she's not going to settle for somebody who doesn't prioritize those things. And I realize that that's projecting years and years down the road, but it is something that's on my mind quite a bit when I'm trying to decide, am I going to crush myself in the gym at work or am I going to go home and like just play around with the pull up bar for a little bit?
mhm.
Um, yeah.
I think that I'd like to think, like I said, we're in the princess stage right now. I
Was that the
am
end of the sentence? I'd
no,
like to think.
I sometimes think, yeah, but we're still in that princess phase, so I am her prince.
There you go.
She'll tell my wife, "I'm gonna throw you into the sea because daddy's my prince."
Boom.
Uh-huh, it's great. Um, but anyways, I'd like to think down the road that, yes, she would hopefully find someone that I would like to, or I'd like to be a good model for her so that she would not go and date and marry the
Some
complete
chump.
opposite. But I think that can happen sometimes, and it becomes with,
Oh, for sure.
yeah, obsessing over fitness.
Mhm.
I think early on, like right when I became a dad, I definitely still had the mindset that I can still chase all these goals. But that's just not really fair to the kids. 'Cause
Right.
whether or not you're sacrificing the time and the volume that you put in the workout, like, something has to be sacrificed for that, and that could be the intentional time that you have with your kids.
Mhm.
And to me, I would get back from an absolute grind of a workout and then just not be present. I was there, but I wasn't present. Um, and I really did not want that for my kids, which again, learned it the hard way, but, you know.
I think the other thing, and this kind of just came to me, but having a kid immediately, you immediately have to face your own mortality, which sounds like wicked dark, but there's a lot of goodness in that. Um, because you like this thing is completely dependent upon you for life, and you recognize that like one day you won't be there. Um, but the goodness in that, for me at least, has come from the fact that like watching my parents age and watching my grandparent, like you can stave off a lot of the things that make it hard to live
Mhm,
by being fit, um, being strong, having an aerobic base. I mean, I know this stuff sounds super nerdy, but truly, I don't want to use the L word here, but like longevity is a real thing. And if you don't have to win the marathon or like be the strongest dude in the gym, but if you keep that stuff in your life, you'll be around to play golf with your grandkids or maybe even see your great great grandkids. And so I think that's where you see a lot of those funny quirks of like, don't be a liability. I like saying that I'm training to beat up my daughter's future boyfriends.
mhm.
Um, and it's like semi joking, but also in some sense like somewhat serious because I do want to be fit enough to hang with the youths um, one day. But we talked about the non-negotiables last. I want to ask, what did you have to sacrifice in your fitness?
Specifically in fitness, uh, I think it was just
Or
go
what did you add? Let me ask you, what did you add?
what
A
did I
two-parter
add?
maybe.
Oof.
Yeah, what did you add?
I mean,
How did it I was gonna say
right
how it
along
changed, but
with you, this is gonna be kind of an existential answer, but I think what I had to sacrifice was going in the gym and just willy-nilly throwing weights around. I had to add some
mm,
sort of intentionality to it. And then uh, what I added was, now, maybe this is because I'm getting older and I don't necessarily have the time or the energy, but I definitely don't have the same desire like I did early on just to
oh, that's a good point.
go out and, like, I remember right when I was done with undergrad, I wanted to do the Hugh Jackman, like, Get Jacked Wolverine program, which was like 5 lifts a week. I was, in the gym for an hour and a half each day, and then I do some cardio too, just to try and get jacked. I was even dabbling in keto at the time.
Oh, man.
11 days. Horrible,
It's a dark
horrible. I
place.
was trying to bulk on keto too, which was just really stupid. I'd have two cups of coffee in the morning, and each cup of coffee I'd put 2 scoops of coconut oil, which was
Oh
a
my
it
god.
was a total of
The
500 calories.
what was the name of that again?
What?
What was the butter, like the butter in the coffee thing? There was some name.
I don't
I
know.
don't whatever,
Um,
keep going.
yeah, I
Bulletproof coffee.
bulletproof yeah, there we go. I
Yeah, there
didn't
we
it
go.
was homemade, DIY
Yeah, of
bulletproof
course,
coffee.
as it should be.
And then I have, like, 10 steakums and then 8 eggs covered in cheese, so I go into my workout 1,400 calories deep, and then I'd, like, be on exercise too, and I'd start having these burps that just would smell of coconut oil, and then by day 11, I just saw a bowl of honey nut bunches of oats, and I caved,
Done.
and I've been eating carbs ever since.
Team
Anyways,
John, separate topic. John has a wild approach to nutrition.
oh yeah, like this right here, hydration,
Zero sugar Dr. Pepper.
Dr.
Also a
Pepper.
connoisseur of the chain restaurant.
Yep. Mhm.
But we digress.
Yeah. Anyways, to answer your question though, I can't do that anymore. I don't have that same desire. If I want to train for something, I got to put some sort of goal onto it so that I have the motivation in the gym to do it.
Mm.
And then also, I have to actually follow a training program. Um, I like having things neatly scheduled for me.
So you're saying now you have to follow a training program.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
See,
Really
that's
like the
crazy.
past 3 years.
I've gone the total opposite direction,
Hmm. I figured you'd say
which,
that.
yeah, which is truthfully something, and you and I have talked about this a little bit already, but like, that's very new to me. Um, and I think, um, we talked about it with Michael Blevins. I think it was Michael Blevins, but anyway, treating fitness as more of an infinite game versus a finite game. And for me, how I would put a bow on that is like literally, it sounds obnoxious, but like being in a relationship with your fitness, it's evolving, it's changing. And I will tell you that off the back of the Power Man, like I had virtually no motivation for a train. It just like nothing. And I don't know if that was because of just the volume or the years that went into that or everything else going on in my life, but just no motivation.
Hmm.
I would go through the motions, but everything hurt. The numbers weren't what they should have been. Like it just, I was doing like the joke was that I was training to stave off the anxiety of not training. Not a healthy place to be.
Mm-mm.
Um, but for all of the reasons that I kind of just mentioned, training without a goal, not that that has become the goal in and of itself, but just a recognition that you can loosen up your perspective on training. It can be a game or a dance or what. Like you can try new movements or different structures or change things and do. And I fully intend to write a longer blog post about this because I think it's important for people to hear. Like this is me giving folks permission, especially parents of young kids. Like you have permission to just enjoy training for the sake of doing it and not feeling like you need to be what you were when you were, the high school quarterback or whatever. Because at the end of the day, like I mentioned, your kids don't care what place you got in their race. They just want to go out and do it with you. And we've talked a little bit about running and with with kids, like my long run now, so to speak, is just going around the lake with my daughter in the stroller. And like I don't care about the distance. I don't wear a smartwatch. It doesn't matter. And in a strange way, I can appreciate that for you, the structure and the goal has given you sort of the catalyst to keep doing it. What is interesting that I found in myself is that the complete opposite happens to now be true, where like the goal and the structure was creating a lot of anxiety, whereas loosening up a lot of that has allowed me to keep doing it and to find like fulfillment and joy in it in a
Hmm.
weird way.
Well, you've been a
So
dad.
not to
You
say you're wrong.
No, you've been a dad longer than I have. So maybe in a couple of years, I too
You'll
will
get there.
follow that mindset. Yeah, I'm just not there yet. Not there yet. Yeah.
I think it's that, but it's also like, I mean, I graduated from my post grad when I was 24, which was 12 years ago. So at some point, like Alex always gives me grief because all the training books I have in my office that I just don't read. Like at some point, it's just like, I don't care about the rep schemes and the this, like, I don't give a shit. Like, I just want it to be fun.
Hmm.
And I think what is that Dunning-Kruger or whatever, the curve, and then the amateurs, like everything works, and then you go through this phase of like it has to look, and then you get to the expert, and it's like everything works. Um, I feel like that's where I'm at
Yeah. I don't know. I think with the intentionality, I just know thyself.
for sure,
Who said that?
as you do.
Rene Descartes? No,
I was gonna
that's I
say
think,
Jesus.
therefore I
I think
am.
you're.
Well, that's similar. Anyways,
I think the S is also silent. Descartes. It's not Descartes.
Descartes. Rene
Descartes.
Descartes. Yes.
Rennie
My
Descartes.
man's.
Uh,
Uh, I just know that if I am not intentional with it, that makes me more anxious. And maybe that's like
For
my
sure.
own personality. It could also be that I have not developed the more laissez-faire approach to fitness
As the
yet.
French would say.
Uh-huh.
Also Descartes.
Was it?
He's French,
I thought
so
it was John Cabot.
laissez-faire.
I don't know.
You're probably right. I'm not saying Descartes said that. I'm saying he,
Alex, can
being
you put in the
French.
show notes famous French philosophers as a rundown? That'll be super helpful.
Yeah. Hey, shout out Alex. A couple of Wikipedia references there. We could get Descartes' bio. No, I get. I wanted to add. We did, team. We are now at the stage of the episode where we have not gotten into this material, which is fun. So, what does your actual weekly routine look like right now?
We already hit on it. I'm fortunate to be able to work in a gym.
There you go.
So, I have 5 days a week where I can work out as part of work. And I try and take full advantage of those. I do my lifts those couple of days. I try and get most of my run workouts. And then if I am training for something specific, this is really the only time when I will use extra time on the weekend. But really what it's turned into is early Saturday training sessions where I'm back by the time kids are eating breakfast.
Hmm.
Now, this is definitely a big sacrifice on the wife. Like when I was training up for my marathon, I would be gone early Saturday mornings and then be training my long runs, which could take 2 to 3 hours
What's the earliest you've woken up to go run
to go run. Uh,
or to train, whatever?
I woke up at 3:15 to start my run at 4. But that was a very long run that day. That was
When did you get back?
I finished at 8. Long day. But normally what it looks like is I'll start the run at 6 and then I'll be back, or I'll finish by like 8, 8:15 and then be back by 8:30. So a little bit after breakfast, right before my son's about to go down for his first nap. But really what that allows me to do is, one, get the training done with for the weekend, because I always take Sundays off, usually. Don't roll on Shabbos.
Shalom.
Um, so I can have that extra time with the family. I try and right now, kind of where I'm at, I'm not specifically training for anything specific. So now my Saturdays will look like, all right, I'm going to go on a run with the kids in the
Mhm.
in the Bob stroller, double Bob stroller, which
Double Bob.
um, in and of
Dude, I had
itself is a high RPE run.
the
You want
most amount.
Yeah, you want it to be
I
easy,
had
but the wind
a
drag is tough.
I I blew a front tube in my run stroller
Mm,
the other day and didn't realize it, except for the fact that the stroller was bouncing up and down and my dog, she was dying with laughter. That was hilarious. And I was like, what is going on with this? Like, one, it's hard as hell to push. I just assumed I was out of shape. But then, I looked at it, it's like, this is a flat tire. So thankfully I wasn't too far away. I had to do you push the handle down so the front wheel pops up, and we basically rode a wheelie all
mm,
the way home, which
nice.
again, she loved. So, you know,
But that
stro-
that is that's taxing.
it's tough, man.
Yeah.
If you guys don't have kids, what you're planning to, instead of sled pushes, go buy yourself a stroller, throw some kettlebells in there, and,
Mhm.
and go for a run.
You don't even need
No
that much
judgment here.
weight.
No,
The stroller itself.
there's an exponential increase in the amount of I'm fully convinced that if the child is 40 pounds, say, the cumulative weight pushed, and some, Alex, throw in the show notes some math stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I think the cumulative weight is exponentially, it's like a logarithmic increase.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah.
So anyway, fascinating. Team, this episode of Mops and Mo's is brought to you by Train Heroic. Train Heroic is a reliable, well-designed platform for programming, tracking, and communicating with athletes. If you've been with us for any length of time, you will know that Train Heroic is the platform that we use to power our own training, long and strong, which you can find at our website, mopsandmos.com. If you're looking for a solid platform to support your own coaching, whether it's your full-time role or a side hustle, Train Heroic is definitely worth checking out. You can use the link in any of our show notes, you can find it in our newsletter, or you can head to our website, mopsandmos.com/training, to get your first week for free. 100% of NFL teams, 100% of NHL teams, 87% of NBA teams, they all trust Teamworks. The tech platform powering elite sport is now powering military readiness. Learn more today at teamworkstactical.com.
Yeah, that's my schedule though. Still pretty regimented. I try and get everything done, super important in the weeks, and save the weekends for only if I'm really training for a specific event. But still try and do something with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just bought a pull-up bar for the house. Right now,
Hell yeah.
I'm kind of doing like a calisthenic thing, just kind of doing like I did when I was a kid. Just do a bunch of push-ups
You
and
know who that
pull-ups.
makes me think of?
Hmm.
Grant.
Grant, oh man, shout out Grant Millar.
Grant. Grant, if you're listening to this out there in Hawaii, man, calisthenic God.
Hmm. He was a dad before both of us.
That's true.
Hmm.
Before most, really.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
younger than both of us,
yeah,
curiously enough.
yep. Talk about the top PT specialist in the Army,
Mm-hmm.
hands down.
I mean, you'd confuse his ball toss with an artillery round. The thing just, I mean, apexed miles. We're gonna have to share this episode with him.
Yeah.
I respect the pull-up bar move. I think that's an underappreciated tool.
Yeah, trying to make it fun though, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'll go crank out some pull-ups, I'll turn on some loud music and then get super excited about it. I'm still in the grassroots phase of trying to make fitness fun for the kids, but my
Mm-hmm.
daughter will be in her Rapunzel dress and be like, I want to do some pull-ups. I want to do some pull-ups. And then I'll
Heck yeah.
I'll lift her there. And at first she did this thing where she just like kept her chin just right on top and basically let go. And I was like, we got to stop that. You can't do that. But now she's getting pretty good form, so we're pretty excited about that.
That's
But yeah,
awesome.
what about you? What does it look like for you? And maybe not necessarily like a specific schedule, but you kind of talked about now some of your workouts are with your daughter.
Yeah,
What does
with
that
my
what does that
daughter.
look like?
So this has been a running joke for a couple of years now on Mops and Mo's. Folks may be aware, I think 2 years ago, as a New Year's resolution, I decided I was going to do yoga every day.
Mm.
And that has just stayed. And now I'm like the biggest fan ever and think everyone should do it. So I say that I try and do yoga in some capacity every day. For a while, I would do that first thing in the morning when I woke up before she would get up. But I realized that I was literally just going through the motions and like it wasn't what I wanted it to be. So um thankfully we've talked about sacrifices and training volume and all that kind of stuff. I have found that yoga and specifically you can get into like more strength based type stuff, whatever, but that can for me mentally supplement or stand in as a workout if I'm not able to get to the gym. And I say that because now having done it for so long, my daughter does it with me, which is a lot of fun. I did not know that there was a corner of YouTube that like instructors will do yoga videos for toddlers.
Hmm.
Millions of followers,
Oh wow.
millions.
I believe it.
It's wild. They like tell a story, like the fish is swimming through the ocean and weave in like it's pretty creative. So
Now,
anyway,
does she follow along?
she is good for about 20
Oh,
minutes,
20 minutes still pretty good though.
which is pretty good. Yeah. And she, hey, look at what I can do. It's like she enjoys it. It's fun. And more importantly, she sees me doing it.
Mhm.
So she recognizes now after so many years that like dad can move his body around, like he can lift things and do it. So anyway, as we said at the top, and like you mentioned, I do have the luxury of being able to train at work. So my training schedule, 4 or 5 days a week, I'll be doing something intentionally. But as I mentioned, I'm not like trying to peak anything or max anything. I guess I'm progressively overloading in kind of like a subconscious way because I'm not trying to add 5 pounds to the bar every day or whatever. One thing though that I think actually drove the yoga decision, and you and I have talked about this, I like after so many years of lifting heavy weights, my back would just be killing me. And I realized that I couldn't bend down, pick her up the way that I wanted to. And we talked about longevity. Like, if that's me in my like mid 30s, what does that look like when I'm 50, 60 sets. I was like, holy shit, I got to do something about this.
Mhm.
Um, so I am less inclined, or I should say, less driven to drive up the weight on the bar as much as I used to be because I'm more interested in being able to move well for a long time. So when I set up my training weeks, number one, as I already said, I'm not following a plan necessarily. So I have a lot more freedom. Typically there's a leg day in there. Typically there's an upper body day or two. There's some runs, but I am a lot more intentional about trying to have her train with me at least once a week, whether that's, like we said, hopping in the stroller and running around the lake, which is about a 5K. Um, or she's getting to the age now where I'm bringing her to do things with me, like she'll come play golf with me,
Mm.
which ends up being a pretty long walk. Um, but trying to make stuff fun, and I think the big piece I would put on this, and maybe we'll get into like lessons for young parents or future parents, like accepting that what you might lose in volume or intensity, you're going to gain in terms of like the example that you're setting, which sounds so cheesy, but if she's in the garage working out with me and I don't hit whatever number it was going to be on the bench press, but she spent some time laying on my chest, pushing on the empty bar with me, like that's a pretty good session. And she now walks away from that recognizing that that's something that dad can do.
Mhm.
So, anyway, very long winded answer, but a lot of movement to maintain mobility for a long time and then enough strength and endurance to like move the needle in the right direction,
Mhm.
so to speak.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I like that.
And long and strong.
And long and strong, of course, of
Yeah.
course.
Shout out long and strong. Alex, throw a link in the show notes for long and
A
strong.
lot of show notes for this.
I know he's going to be busy. He didn't have to participate in the recording.
That's true.
He can do the work after
Yep,
the
you just gotta
fact.
listen for these little pearls and then
Hmm.
add driblets. Yeah.
So,
I, this, this kinda goes along with the weekly routine, um, and every kid is different, but
mm,
especially early on, how did you manage, like, the sleep deprivation with your fitness routine? And maybe even now if there's still some
yeah.
sleep deprivation involved.
I'm going to sound like a douche for saying this. I didn't experience a lot of sleep deprivation.
Mm,
We made the
nice.
decision early on to co-sleep, controversial as that may be. Um, and I've been very fluid with sleep. And what I mean by that is like when on nights that I have my daughter, more often than not, I'll just go to sleep when she does. Um, so my bedtime is generally like 8:30 ish. I might read for a little bit, but I also, ever since college, have always woken up early. Like I would get up at 5 or 6 in college and go to the gym. So, I hear a lot of parents, oh, I got to wake up at 5 or like, I like waking up at 5. And I realize saying that there are people that don't enjoy that, but I do truly believe that if you take the steps to make that part of your routine, you can reap a lot of rewards from it. Now, that being said, for folks that are getting less sleep, and maybe this is you, um, I don't know if there's really any answer other than to say like try try and see where you can trim some stuff off because oftentimes I'll get that as feedback to me for like an athlete that I'm training, for example. Hey, I don't get enough sleep. Well, okay, what time do you get in bed? Oh, I do a good job of getting in bed at 8, and then they like doom scroll for an hour or whatever. So like I hate saying this because it's a cop out answer, but like there's inevitably ways that you can create time. I'll go the other direction too, though, and say that if you are losing sleep and if fatigue is truly playing a role, a lot of the things we've talked about already with training, like auto regulation and using rate of, like there's tools you can utilize to maintain the appropriate level of intensity, even if the number on the bar isn't what it would be if you actually had gotten enough sleep. So understand that you will be fatigued, but recognize that that doesn't have to be an excuse for not training. It can just be a variable that you factor into how you structure training. And
Mhm.
we have resources for that. Shameless plug. Um, but anyway, what about I feel like that's more a thing with you.
Well, we're doing sleep training now. My daughter has always slept great.
Nice.
Basically, after 4 months on, slept through the night. We've been crazy blessed with that. She's great. We do not co-sleep. I just don't wanna do it.
I love it. I'm a weirdo. I love it.
2 different schools of thought. Um,
Sure.
and then
Alex, throw some notes in there about co-sleeping
mhm, or not co-sleeping. Maybe a
or
Venn
not
diagram,
co-sleeping.
if you will.
Yeah, create some visuals for the people.
My son, he ebbs and flows. He's snotty, so sometimes he'll wake himself up in the
Mm,
middle of the night because he's all snotted up. Um, but we just recently started some sleep training with him to try and get him all the way through the night. Uh, anyways, really, what I do if again, if I'm training for a specific event, and I have the energy, which if I have the motivation, I usually will have the energy. Sleep is the first thing to go. So
mm,
if I need to get up in the middle of the night to get him back down or give him a bottle or something like that, then I'm already up. Maybe I'll go train then. Or kind of like what you were saying, some nights I'll go to bed at 8:30. My kids go to bed at about 7 o'clock. So
yeah.
I have a little time just to hang out and chat with the wife. But some of those nights, like I'm exhausted. I'm gonna go to bed super early and just conk out, try and get as much sleep as possible. We're pretty fortunate though. Both of them sleep pretty well, but really that early newborn stage where you're up quite a bit, I mean, that's like for me, that was a big maintenance phase and trying to focus on specific weak spots and really maintaining the things that I know
Mhm.
that I was decent at. Um, Shameless plug, but this is where I guess my son was 6 months old when I did the marathon and the 1,000 pound club. So there was some train up that went into that, but again, I really had to
There you
be
go.
intentional with the fatigue management on that, and there was some motivation too. So some days, I'd get 5 6 hours of sleep cumulative, but I'd still have the energy because I knew I really wanted to get the workout done the next day. Uh, but that's
Speaking of
definitely not always the case. Some days I was like, I just really don't feel like working out at all. So I would always consult someone, usually chat, not really someone. It was always chat GPT. And I'd be like, I'm really tired today. Should I work out? Be brutally honest with me. And every time it told me, nah, you got the training you needed, rest. And I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? That, it was pretty nice. That is you know, a good, a good tip there. If you say be brutally honest to any of your AI, uh, I don't know, at least for me, it feels like it's a little bit more honest with you and
yeah.
not just trying to appease you.
I mean,
Um,
well, you say that right. So this is not in this is not in notes, team. We're going off on a limb here, but given what AI can do, and ChatGPT is kind of my go-to, right? But like, I'm imagining a dad, newborn, and let's go to the complete end of the spectrum and say like no training history at all, but like doesn't want to doesn't want to turn into the dad bod, right? If you have no exposure to any of this stuff, ChatGPT or any of the other like just type in your situation and they will it will create something for you. Like the tools available are wild
mhm.
now. Like, hey, I got 10 minutes and no equipment. Like, give me a quick circuit, and boom, you'll have it.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be the guy that says that there's no excuse, but I'm starting to feel more and more like never have you had more information at your fingertips,
Mhm.
and it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Super cool.
Um, but what I was going to ask you, speaking about snotty babies, do you have the Frida baby? You know, the little thing you like suck the boogers out of their nose with the straw?
I don't know if it's a straw. I don't know. I just call it the snot sucker. My
Is
wife
it, do you
knows all the
manually
proprietary names of the products that we use. I just use them.
Frida baby is what you're thinking of, I think.
Maybe.
It
Yeah.
has a little filter and a little hose and you suck it out of there. It is one of the most satisfying things out there, team.
Mhm.
Not sponsored at all by
Mm-mm.
Frida Baby. Um, but talk about cool tools.
Yeah,
Frida Baby.
that's a good one.
Um, we've talked a little bit about how we've integrated kids in fitness. What are some, okay, I'll ask you this because yours skew younger than mine. What are some thoughts you have or some hypotheses you're entertaining about how you would want to integrate fitness into their lives?
I think the main focus I have is what worked for me when I was a kid. I am not expect
Did your parents train
No,
around you?
never.
Yeah,
No.
right. Me
I
neither.
got turned on to fitness in 2003 watching The World's Strongest Man. Mariusz
Who won?
Pudzianowski.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
freak,
five-time World's Strongest Man champion. He was in his
freak.
prime then. He was insane. And
Mariusz Pudzianowski.
and also probably the most jacked /
Yeah,
cut strongest man of all time. Just a
he
beast.
fought UFC a little bit too,
Later
which is
on in his life.
terrifying
Yeah,
to think about.
not great. I think I looked him up the other day. I think his record was like
We
22
should
and
try to get
10.
Marius on the
Oh,
podcast,
I'd
man.
love that. I would
That'd be
love that.
so sick.
Huge, huge inspiration back in the day. But anyways, I saw them and I was like, I want to be that. So I started doing push-ups every day. And I did push-ups and started off jumping jacks and I swapped to sit-ups. I did it literally every day. I did not miss a day. I was neurotic about it for 12 and a half years. I
Dang.
stopped in college just because it
What was
was,
that first day like when you didn't do it?
I had been thinking about it for a couple years. I was like, I,
For a couple years?
yeah, but I just couldn't. I just felt like I needed to keep doing it, and it was actually
See, you train because of the anxiety of not training.
exactly, yeah. It was a
I
lot
get
of
it. Yeah,
anxiety built up about it. I remember when I was a
yeah.
kid, I had like 25 push-ups left to do, and I cranked them out in a Texas Roadhouse. And
Hell yeah.
my dad was like, "Get the hell up! What are you doing?" Like, I got to get it done. I got to get it done now. Um,
I'll show a picture for people who are watching. There's Marius Pudzianowski.
yeah. If you just type in Marius, Mariusz, he'll pop up.
Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way in hell you're spelling his last name
Nope,
off the cuff.
couldn't do it.
Uh,
But anyways, I'm trying to go at the lens of I don't expect my kids to have that same like come to fitness Jesus moment like I did
mm,
and want to be that. So how can I integrate fitness in their lives without enforcing it? I think I'm in the grassroots phase right now. I'm just trying to make it as fun as possible. Like I said earlier with the pull up bar, make that fun. The other day I was doing some planks and I had my daughter just sit on my
mm.
back. She was bored and absolutely done with it after, I don't know, a couple minutes, but still starting early on. And then also trying to make like the runs in the stroller pretty fun, always playing Disney music. And
Yeah.
I think just doing it in front of them, like you're saying, I
What's
think
your
that'll,
favorite Disney song?
oh, right now, it's "I'll Make a Man Out of You." Let's get down to business.
That's a good one.
Huge shift from Pocahontas to Mulan in
I
our
think we
household
were we
recently.
texting. We were texting about this the other day,
Hmm.
weren't we?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, my wife is absolutely done with it. But I'm not.
You got to get her on Robin Hood, man.
Yeah, that's true. We need to do that this weekend. But
I told you I got a tattoo of Robin Hood on my arm.
really,
Yeah.
maybe I'll do that too if I like it. I don't know.
Yeah. Classic.
Anyways, Spotify does pretty good. It really plays all the songs that you like. So I didn't
Hmm.
even really need to skip any songs today in the playlist during my run with them. It was great. It was
I will say on record, Phil Collins deserves some sort of award. He went
mhm.
harder than any of us. He went harder on the Tarzan soundtrack than any of us deserve.
And he's also in the Brother Bear soundtrack.
And Brother Bear. Yeah. A lot
Uh-huh.
of people don't know that.
Nope.
Phil Collins, Brother
Yep.
Bear.
Mhm. Yeah, and my
Bangers.
daughter still hasn't watched Tarzan because it's a little scary. So,
Mm,
but I will still play the songs because, well, I'll tell you this:
yeah.
what's that one song? "You'll Be in My Heart." Yeah, yeah, yeah. That one. That's
Mm.
the one my wife sings to my son when he goes to bed.
Oh,
I don't
nice.
know the words, so I sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and
Oh my gosh.
"New York, New York" by Frank Sinatra goes right to bed, right to bed. Um, but
Who was the voice of the mom who sang that? Who was the voice of the mom gorilla in Tarzan? Do you know?
Jane Goodall? I don't know.
No, that's a good guess though.
Thank
Meryl
you.
Streep, close.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Meryl Streep. So
Okay.
she's your wife is emulating Meryl Streep.
I'll tell her. I will tell her that.
Um,
That's great.
Mulan though, that's good.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, we're on a I mean Frozen is sort of ever present.
of course. Of
Um,
course.
Epic, that's one that'll fly under most folks' radar. Epic
Haven't
with
seen that one yet.
Colin Farrell voices the main guy. Phenomenal movie.
Okay.
Sea Monster, I think, is another one. Low key, fantastic. The robot one, that's pretty vague. Award
Robots?
winning. No, he gets like lost in the woods and befriends the animals.
Meet the Robinsons.
No, Wild
iRobot?
Robot. The Wild Robot.
Oh, I knew
Anyway,
you were gonna
sorry.
have some obscure films.
I had to because I mean, I told you I loved Robin Hood. We went through a phase where we were watching Robin Hood. I probably watched that movie 200 times in a row.
Mm, mm,
Um, and so I had to find some other stuff.
yeah, that's fair. But it just pumps me up when my daughter's like, "To defeat the Hans."
The
It
Huns.
doesn't get old. Does
Yes.
not get old. Yep.
No, you're right. So yeah, well, those are great examples of how to make fitness fun.
Yeah, but I
And
think
Disney
I think
movies.
you're I think kind of what you're doing now is
Well,
is
real quick, Alex, if you could link each one of those Disney movies in the show
mhm,
notes
mhm.
for the listeners, please, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
Maybe instead of the normal Mops and Mo's jingle, can it be "I'll
Hmm.
make a man out of you"? Huh?
It's probably copyrighted. We could
Probably
try it.
copyright. We'd probably have to sing it. Still might be copyright.
Well, yeah. Anyway,
We
what were you saying?
digress. Um,
Let's get down to business.
very good. Very good. Um, I think, I kind of want to see what you're going to do or what you're thinking because you've had a little bit more experience with this in integrating fitness than I have, and your kid is older. So,
Mm,
um,
yeah, she has preferences now.
yeah.
Um, I think so. Number one is, in my opinion, and I've said this a couple of times now, but it's just broadening your definition of fitness. I think when a lot of folks get asked that question, it's like, what can I do to ensure that my child wants to walk into a gym one day? Which I think is great. But at this age, and with where she and I are at, it's just pursuing a physically active relationship or a
Hmm.
physically active lifestyle. So, case in point, we go to the mountains here in North Carolina all the time. She loves hiking, loves it, and has the endurance for it too, which is
Hmm.
wild. I mean, one day we like accidentally went 5 miles instead of two or something, and she loves getting the stick and doing the thing, and so um, recognizing that that's enjoyable for her started to then shape because I said we go to the mountains all the time, but now it's being intentional about, okay, when we go, sure, we'll hang out with family, but we are also going to find time to go on a hike, whatever that's going to look
Hmm.
like. Similarly, you mentioned kind of the running thing. So like just being very intentional about running. And there have been times where I will go on a run, not because I want to or need to, but because I want to have her do it with me. So it like the box that I'm checking is not, PR my 5K, but literally like exercise with child. Like boom, check that
Hmm.
box. Um, I think like you said, making it fun is huge. Got her enrolled in gymnastics very young.
Nice.
So she enjoys moving.
Hmm.
But the other thing is she also is growing up in a household that has a gym in the garage. The garage is connected to the kitchen. I leave the door open. If she's playing and I'm in the gym, she can hear me working out. She knows what I'm doing. I'll pull her in there. I'll have her act like a weight. I'll lift her up. She thinks it's hilarious. And then the other thing, and this is going to sound super cheesy, I'm an absolute sucker for all of those like card games and stuff that come across it, like, "Ooh, ask your child deep questions." I have like 4 or 5 of those
Mm.
sets. Um, because she is at the age now where like she legitimately has interesting answers for things. But some of those questions have to do with like creating a sort of healthy mindset towards movement. And again, shameless plug for AI here, but team, like, don't feel guilty if you're sitting at dinner and you're like, give me questions I can ask my 5-year-old that are catered towards, health or whatever. I've done that before and it has made for some hilarious and like legitimately good
That's
conversations.
great. I'm gonna try that. That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, so much so that now, because again, she's 5, and I will ask her. And the other day, I asked her for the first time. I said, "Who's stronger, boys or girls?" And she goes, "Both." It's like, "Fuck yes, we've done it."
That's great.
Um, because again, at this age, I don't care if she knows what a barbell is versus a dumbbell. I think a lot of parents think that they have to create this like young CrossFit prodigy. I just want her to recognize, especially as a young female, that she is just as capable as anybody else.
Mhm.
Because, and you've seen this, I'm sure, like you go to Target, you go to any store, even just to buy clothes, like everything is already like siphoning little girls away from play and exploration and climbing and running and jumping. And like, here's a skirt, here's a dress. She loves wearing those. And I think she's adorable when she wears those, but she's not afraid to climb a tree
Mhm.
in a dress. So, like, again, kind of a rabbit hole you could dive down, but I I am less concerned about her at this age wanting to work out and more concerned with her recognizing that she is capable.
Mhm.
And if there comes a time where I get a call from school because she beat up a boy, I'll be so happy. I want that in my life. So sorry, that was rambling, but yeah.
No,
What was it?
I think no, I think that's great. Really, the question was how to integrate fitness without enforcing it.
Yeah.
Um,
Make it fun.
yeah, and, I think another, like, come to Jesus realization that I had, I think I have always dreamed when I realized I was not gonna, be a starting center fielder on the Yankees, I think I
Mm.
realized that when I was 14 years old, and
Right around the time you saw Marius Pujanowski on TV?
no, I saw him when I was 7.
Ah,
Yeah, much younger.
fair,
Yep, much younger.
fair.
Still had dreams to be Marius at that age. But when I realized that, I was like, "All right, my son is gonna be starting center fielder for the Yankees. Yeah, he's gonna do it." And or in the same vein, my daughter is gonna be Misty Copeland,
The
like,
first female starting center for the
first yeah,
Yankees.
or yeah, even better, first female starting center fielder in
There
MLB.
you go.
More importantly for the Yankees, only the Yankees. But it's been maybe a recent conversation. I was having it with my wife. I was like, maybe I just need to realize that the amount of work that goes into that and the division that could possibly happen between me and my kids to get there
Mhm.
is not worth it. I'm currently reading Open by Andre Agassi, which if you haven't read it,
Oh,
an incredible sports
I've heard
memoir.
that's really good.
He basically
Yeah.
it talks about how much, you know, it's crazy being the number one tennis player for so long, won like 60 different tournaments. He hates tennis and he continually says that. And it started from a young age when his dad would force him to hit 1,000 tennis balls
Mm,
every day. He referred to his dad as the dragon. And it's a really interesting story because basically he just kept doing it. He hated doing it, but
mm.
um, he was so good at it that that was the only thing he knew how to do. Um, and I think my dream is still alive. Like, of course, I want my kids to play on the
You could
Yankees.
still play for the Yankees.
No, I can't. No, no. I'm well past my prime, and I don't have the height nor the power. No, I can't. But I appreciate the encouragement.
You don't have the technological know-how or the steady hand to pull off a maneuver like that.
But
Alex, if you could link super bad there in the show notes. Yeah, no, that's it. That brings up an interesting parallel for me, and this is going to be a wild reference, but So living in Pinehurst in the home of golf in
Mhm.
America, like you see a lot of junior, very high caliber athletes come through. And one thing that is the same across the board, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of gender, they all look miserable.
Yeah.
It's like, are you, and for some of them, I realize like that's just their game face or whatever. But if we want to circle back to like how to create a fitness environment for a child, it's like just make it fun. Like as long as they're having fun. And just tons and tons of research, all of the studies, which Alex will cite all of these in the show notes, but
Yep.
all of the studies out there just they show that exposing kids to a variety of activities early on versus specializing in one thing pays dividends down the road when it does potentially come time to specialize. So, like for you wanting to play for the Yankees, you're still in your GPP phase, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
And then when you decide you want to pivot, the team's still going to be there.
Yep, that's true.
So,
That's very true.
okay, let's close it with these last
Well, hold on.
two.
Let's say the typical Alex thing in honor. We are at the hour mark now.
Yeah. Well, we're at the hour mark now. We'll break that third wall. So, we'll ask ourselves some closers. What is your best piece of advice or pieces of advices for new dads to stay fit?
Hmm. I wrote this question, but I didn't think
Yeah,
about an
you wrote
answer.
all these questions.
Uh, uh,
Do you want me to go to buy you some time?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'll
Why
just
not? Why
riff.
don't you go ahead? Yeah, that'd be good.
So I would approach this question, and this is off the cuff, but I would approach this question from the perspective of me telling my pre-kid self what I know now. I think if that's fair. One, you're going to be a single dad, but two, like just do the work that you need to do to allow yourself to literally lighten up when it comes to pursuing fitness. We've used phrases like open up the aperture, whatever. But I think the nice thing about having a kid is that most of the time you have somewhat of a heads up that you're going to have a child. So you have some time to kind of do the mental work to recognize that what you think about fitness now is going to change. What's nice is that the first time you hold that child in your hands, like, holy shit, this all makes sense. Like, I get it. I get what Drew and John are talking about. Um, but if you try to sustain your pre child approach to fitness, I think 9 times out of 10, it's just going to end up creating more anxiety than positive results. And that's not to say that you can't, because there's a lot of guys I know who have the same volume and the same intensity, maybe even more so.
Hmm.
But I think they recognize that all of that is kind of held in the balance of your role, your primary role as a provider, a caregiver, a father. So, like we've talked about now, it may be that running looks a little different or lifting looks a little different, but the added benefit of being able to set the example for a young human, I think is far more important than like what we're all lifting just so we can text like three of our friends that were stronger. Like nobody actually cares.
Hmm.
Um, so anyway, that would be, I think, my one biggest piece of advice.
I like that. That's good.
Now you're up.
Yeah, I have. I think I have two things. One's not really a piece of.
Oh,
One's not a piece of advice. One is like a maybe a reminder, in that
mm.
you can reach your fitness goals
Oh yeah, for
as a
sure,
dad. Like
100%.
I reached my lifelong fitness goal with two kids.
Bench pressing 135, right?
Yep, yep. One wheel, one wheel
One
on
wheel,
each side.
baby.
Yep, exactly. Um, and I was like, man, that feels really good. I felt super healthy, and I was really proud to do it with both my kids watching.
Boom.
And then I think the other piece of advice is, and you hinted at it earlier, is if you get your kids involved in fitness, hiking, climbing, moving, playing sports, letting them have fun, they are going to be, especially if I would take a guess, like 15, 20 years from now, they're going to be leagues above
Oh yeah,
most everybody else
it's only getting
in their
worse.
grade. I mean,
Hmm.
I know this for a fact. Like some of the fittest people we have, especially like endurance based, it maybe not necessarily anything they're doing now. They probably have a good foundational level like that they maintain, but it's because they did that their whole childhood. They climbed mountains, they
Yep.
climbed rocks, and then they can go out and, ruck a hour and a half 12 miler like it's nothing.
Hmm.
And I'm sure they train a little bit for it, but it's that basically that muscle memory that's allowed them to do it. So I don't know. I didn't really grow up being like a travel sports athlete, but I played outside every day for 3 to 4 hours with my friends, different sports. And that stuff like really sticks with you because I can still hang with folks 10 years younger than me and still do all right in, little sports like that. Um, Not really like really your own fitness, I would say. I don't know if I have too much advice on that. And I don't want to really share any advice because everybody's situation is different.
Well,
Uh,
I'm glad you said that you can still do things. Like I think it's very easy, and we're probably even guilty of this too, having talked about it now for over an hour. But like, it's very easy to use the arrival of kids as like an excuse to not still think that you can do the thing, and you can. And a lot of people have, you included. But yeah, I don't want folks to hear this and think I'm screwed. I'm never gonna, because that too can create some resentment and some
mhm.
anxiety. Um, okay, this is going to be a fun one. Any simple routines that dads can start besides, signing up for Long and Strong?
Yeah, there you go. That's one.
Link in the show notes.
Um, I think for me is working out with people in your same sphere of life per se, or in your same exact phase of life. There we go. That's the term.
Did you say sphere, but like schmear? You
Sphere,
said it in a
sphere.
weird German way.
Einstein brothers. Sphere.
Sphere.
Yeah.
Sphere. Okay.
Yes. Uh, Same smear of life, if you will. Um, that way, the people you're running with, one, understand where you're coming from, and
Hmm.
then two, like like you got something to talk about, and they understand, like, hey, I can't actually, work out this long this day. I got to go here. Oh, I totally understand. Doing something like that at least once a week has been super beneficial for me. Um, it's cheesy, but I guess it grounds me.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's not cheesy. I do yoga because it grounds me. So
yeah, I
there,
don't do
not
yoga,
cheesy.
but
You need to. I've done yoga with you. You're horrible at it.
really bad, getting worse.
If you want to play center field, you got to be able to touch your toes.
That's true. That's true. Um, yeah, and that's not really a routine, but um,
It's something.
yeah, it's something. But I think
I
I think for like specific routines, like you can do. I think of Tim Ferriss. What is it? The 4 Hour Body or whatever.
4 Hour Body. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, what a seminal text. I have all of his books.
Uh huh. They talk about, like, I always heard about this. I used to think my dad was like the strongest guy in the world. Right? Never lifted weights. I took him to the gym once. He was sore for 2 weeks. But that dad strength is really a thing. Carrying your kids around all
Oh yeah,
day,
for sure.
picking them up from all sorts of different positions. Like, I don't want to call it neat, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis or whatever. But I tell you what, like your arms will grow pretty good
Yeah. Oh
carrying
yeah.
kids around all day.
Hmm.
So, maybe you're not working out, but if
That'd
you're
be
just carry your kids
your
around.
your parent. It'd be your fatherly activity thermogenesis.
You're fat. Trademark.
There you go.
I love that.
Boom.
Very good. What about you?
Unfortunately, it's also the name of our fitness test.
That's right.
So we're gonna workshop that team. Routines. Again, I say this with 100% seriousness. Chat GPT or Claude or whatever. I know everybody out there is using it for some dumb shit, but like it will give you a starting point. And I say that because prior to something like that, you would have had to do a little bit more work to find some of these answers.
Hmm.
You don't need to do that anymore. And that is not to say that that should serve as your personal trainer forever. But if what we're talking about here is just creating a starting point, like, man, other strength coaches might hate me for saying that, but like, you'd be hard pressed to find a better solution that can cater to your equipment constraints, your time constraints, your whatever. It will give you something.
Hmm.
And something is better than nothing. But in terms of a routine, um, and I'm going to assume here that this is somebody who doesn't have access to a gym at work. So we literally are working around some constraints. I think you kind of gave some advice early on about um, waking up early, which I know is tough for some folks, but maybe it's grabbing a stroller and taking one of the kids for a run like twice a week. Maybe it's doing some body weight exercises if you can't get away. Like if you're in the newborn phase and you can't get away, doing some body weight exercises. The other thing I would say is, and this kind of goes back to our deserted island question, like buy a kettlebell and just do some swings, like, while you have a bit of free time.
Hmm.
I think if we're at that point, like if you're literally at that point where you are trying to squeeze in 10-minute segments or 5-minute segments, like your life really is that busy, then I do think we're at the stage where we need to start talking about, like, again, buying the kettlebell or doing the quick 10-minute circuit. If you have more time than that, I think it's less about some sort of secret routine and more about just reframing, like we've talked about, reframing your perspective on what fitness should look like. And again, recognizing that it can look a lot different than just going to the gym and putting your headphones in. And when you realize that that's the case, you'll find that you already actually probably have a routine. Your mindset just hadn't caught up to it yet.
Hmm.
Um, so any closing thoughts?
No.
Should people have kids?
Yes. If you're ready
Yes,
and you
if
want
you're
them.
ready and you want them.
If
But
you
when a
don't, if
man
you're
and a
not neither
woman
of those
love each
things,
other, don't have them. Man. Okay. Well, look, team, we officially have recorded this conversation twice. Thank you for listening.
hmm,
Everything we talked about will be in the show notes.
yep.
So thank you,
Thank
Alex.
you, Alex.
And we'll see you next week. Adios.
Adios.
This week's episode is brought to you by Teamworks. One dietitian, 3,500 service members, all of them receiving personalized nutrition plans. Teamworks gives service members access to personalized nutrition guidance at scale. Visit teamworkstactical.com today to learn more.
Hey, Alex, let's cover our ass real quick.
Oh, great idea, Drew. All right, guys. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode. Before you go, please rate and review the pod on the listening platform of your choice. You can also visit us on our website at www.mopsinmos.com. That's mops, the letter N, mos.com. You can check out the library of podcast episodes, our latest blog entries, any helpful resources, and also sign up for our newsletter.
Drew nailed it. Just to underline a couple of things, the podcast entries have in-depth show notes on the website. So if you missed anything or you want to read any of the research we talk about, it is all there. You can, at the bottom of the website, sign up with your email and receive future updates from us. The blog posts go a little bit more in depth in kind of written form on a couple of topics we get questions about all the time. But most importantly, I just want to ask all you guys, our best way the word gets out is absolutely word of mouth. So tell your friends, tell the people you work with, anybody you think would find it useful. Thanks for spreading the word.
If you have any questions or comments, feel free to shoot us an email at either Drew or Alex at mopsandmos.com.
Or there's a contact form on the website.
Thank you.